Hey, it's Thomas here, and today we're going to be checking out XP Aqua's Flood Guardian. If you want to save your floors from accidental RODI floods caused by overfilled containers, or add a solid level of redundancy to your RODI system that's already using a mechanical float valve, while also being able to reduce TDS creep at the same time, then check out the Flood Guardian, aka the Marriage Saver. Not entirely sure it's going to be able to save a marriage on the rocks, but it will keep the floor dry. Many reefers are making their own RODI water at home. Not only does it work out to be the most economical option for the average reefer, but it is also the most convenient. There are practically zero drawbacks to being able to produce your own RODI water at home whenever you need it. Well, except for when you accidentally flood your home because you were filling a bucket of water with RODI and then you left it unattended, forgot about it, and then you or your spouse goes into your bathroom or basement or kitchen or wherever you're making the water to find a bunch of water on the floor, and then you're in a panic to try to clean it all up before it damages your home. Stressful. Even those of us who already rely on a mechanical float valve to shut off our RO system have run into wet floors. Either the valve gets stuck open or failed in one way or another, and the result is the same. XP Aqua's Flood Guardian is an excellent and much needed redundancy for our RODI systems. You can use it standalone to control your water production in place of a traditional mechanical float valve, or use it in conjunction with your existing float valve for added redundancy. It works with any container under a 1/2 inch thick using a reliable magnetic dual optic sensor, and also with any RODI filter. Doesn't matter if you already use a pressure switch and a float valve, or if it's a basic filter and you've just been dropping your tubing in a bucket. It can actually also help reduce TDS creep, but I'm going to touch more on that in a bit. First, let's get it out of the box. In the box, you'll find the Flood Guardian with magnetic dual optic sensor, the Solenoid for 1/4 inch RO tubing, the 1/4 inch RO tubing bracket, and a power supply. There are two common ways you can install the Flood Guardian. If your RO system already has an auto shutoff and a float valve, you can place the solenoid between the last stage of your RO system and the float, then clip the magnetic sensor just below that float valve. In this configuration, the Flood Guardian will be your main shutoff and the mechanical float is your backup. If your RO system does not already have an automatic shutoff and a float, you'll want to install the solenoid between your pre-filter stage and the membrane, then place the magnetic sensor in the container at the line you'd like it to fill to. Just make sure, regardless of which installation you follow, install the solenoid so that the flow of the water follows the direction of the arrow on that solenoid valve. How the Flood Guardian works is actually really simple. When first powered on, the dual optic sensor will check for the presence of water. If water is present, the solenoid valve will remain in its default closed position and not allow the production of water. If water is not present, it'll open the solenoid and allow for water production until the water level in the container reaches the sensor, at which point it'll close the solenoid and stop the production of water. Because the sensor is magnetic, you can easily switch it between containers. So for example, if your style of reefing has you filling up a few 5-gallon pails, you can swap out that full pail for an empty one, take the magnetic sensor off the full pail, clip it onto the empty one, press the play button, and repeat as needed without worrying about flooded buckets. It's also worth mentioning that because the solenoid's default position is closed, even if you experience a power outage or other failure, the solenoid will remain closed, preventing the RODI filter from making water and protecting your home from wet floors. And like I mentioned earlier, the Flood Guardian has one more trick up its sleeve. It can actually help you reduce TDS creep caused by your RO filter turning on and off frequently, prolonging the life of your DI resin or preventing unwanted contaminants from making it into your tank. And to do it, all you need is a timer. By plugging the Flood Guardian into a digital timer, you can effectively choose how often it'll allow your RO filter to run, which is especially helpful for those of us already relying on a mechanical float valve. Instead of your RO filter making tiny amounts of water frequently, you can choose what days of the week you want to produce water. Then, when the timer cycles power to the Flood Guardian, it'll automatically check for the presence of water and allow for water production and shut off again once the container's full. Basically, this means if you have a 50-gallon container with a flow valve on it, instead of the valve dipping a little bit and creating probably less than a gallon of water at a time frequently, you can have it so that the entire container drains down over the course of the week, and then it fills up a full 40 or 50 gallons at a time, which is going to save on TDS creep. And if you're not sure what TDS creep is and why it's so bad for your DI stage or can increase the TDS of your product water, check out this video right here. It goes over all of it, plus some extra tips and tricks on how you can save on DI resin by protecting it from said TDS creep. And I actually use a few of these different methods on my own system, and it helps a lot. So check it out.